Mistake 1. Excessive consumption of fried eggs and oil. This mistake can be a serious threat to your health, increasing your risk of developing serious diseases such as atherosclerosis, myocardial infarction, stroke, and stomach cancer. Frying eggs in oil, especially when that oil is used repeatedly, can lead to the formation of trans fats and carcinogenic compounds. These substances accumulate in the body and contribute to atherosclerosis, a condition in which arteries thicken and lose elasticity, which significantly increases the risk of cardiovascular diseases, such as myocardial infarction and stroke. Studies have shown that regular consumption of foods cooked with fried oil can significantly increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. For example, one study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who regularly consumed fried foods had a 48% increased risk of coronary heart disease. One striking case was reported at a medical center in the United States. The patient, a 52-year-old obese man, complained of regular chest pains and shortness of breath. On examination, it was found that the man ate 4 to 5 eggs fried in large amounts of sunflower oil every day. Tests showed high cholesterol levels and the presence of extensive atherosclerotic plaques in the arteries. After being diagnosed with coronary heart disease, he was scheduled for bypass surgery. Doctors noted that the repeated use of frying oil also played a role in worsening the patient's condition by contributing to the accumulation of harmful substances in his body. In addition, carcinogenic substances such as acrolein are formed when the oil is heated to high temperatures. These substances cause inflammation in the stomach and intestines, increasing the risk of cancer. To minimize the risks, it is recommended to limit the consumption of fried eggs, especially those cooked in oil. Instead, it is better to prepare eggs by boiling or steaming, which preserves their beneficial properties and minimizes the formation of harmful compounds. If you do prefer fried eggs, use a minimal amount of oil, preferably cold-pressed virgin olive oil, and don't overheat them. Keep the temperature below 180 degrees Celsius or 356 degrees Fahrenheit. In summary, heart and gastrointestinal health depends largely on how we prepare our food. Moderate consumption of boiled or steamed eggs without adding a lot of fat can help reduce your risk of serious diseases and keep you healthy for years to come. Mistake 2. Consuming eggs with added salt, sugar, or harmful additives. Risk of hypertension, diabetes, kidney failure, stomach cancer. Cooking eggs with a lot of salt, sugar, or other harmful ingredients is a practice that can cause serious harm to your body. Salt, for example, raises blood pressure, which over time can lead to the development of hypertension, a condition associated with an increased risk of myocardial infarction, stroke, and heart failure. Diabetes, in turn, can be triggered by excessive consumption of sugar, which is often added to dishes with eggs, such as omelets or baked goods. Studies have shown that regular consumption of foods high in salt and sugar significantly increases the risk of developing chronic diseases. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that higher salt intake was associated with increased blood pressure and a 32% higher risk of hypertension. Similarly, excessive sugar consumption, especially when combined with other carbohydrates, is associated with increased insulin levels and the development of type 2 diabetes. A New York City hospital reported the case of a 45-year-old woman who consumed eggs with added salt and sugar daily while making her favorite breakfast omelet. Despite regular exercise, she developed hypertension and then type 2 diabetes. Doctors analyzing her diet concluded that the key factor was the high salt and sugar content in her daily meals, including eggs. Subsequently, the patient had to significantly change her diet and start medication. In addition, there is evidence that high salt and sugar intake is associated with an increased risk of stomach cancer. Salty foods can damage the gastric mucosa, contributing to inflammation and increasing the likelihood of malignant tumors. To minimize the risks, it is recommended to cook eggs with minimal added salt and sugar. Instead, you can use fresh or dried herbs, spices, and small amounts of lemon juice to flavor your dishes without harming your health. It is also important to avoid adding harmful ingredients such as trans fats and artificial additives. Thus, your choices in cooking have a significant impact on your health. Limiting your intake of salt, sugar, and harmful additives when cooking eggs will help reduce your risk of serious diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, and stomach cancer, and keep you healthy for years to come. Mistake 3. Abusing dishes containing eggs and meat in the same meal. Risk of gout, obesity, and diabetes. Coronary heart disease, thrombosis. Frequently combining eggs and meat in the same meal can overload the body with protein and saturated fat. Eggs and meat are both protein-rich foods, but when consumed together in large quantities, they can create an excessive load on the body. This can lead to impaired metabolic processes such as purine processing, which in turn can contribute to the development of gout, a painful condition characterized by the accumulation of uric acid crystals in the joints. Studies have shown that excess protein intake, especially when combined with saturated fat, as in the case of meat dishes, increases the risk of cardiovascular disease. In a study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, it was found that people who consumed large amounts of animal proteins, especially when combined with fats, had a 34% higher risk of developing coronary heart disease compared to those with a more balanced diet. A medical center in Chicago, USA recorded the case of a 58-year-old man who regularly consumed eggs and meat for breakfast, believing it was a good source of energy to start the day. However, after a few years, he developed gout accompanied by severe joint pain, and was also diagnosed with high cholesterol and obesity. The patient had to switch to a low-protein and low-fat diet and take steps to lose weight to avoid more serious complications such as myocardial infarction or thrombosis. To minimize the risks, it is recommended that you combine eggs and meat in your diet in moderation, preferring to eat them at different meals. If you do want to include both foods in the same meal, favor lean meats such as chicken or turkey and reduce the portion size. It is also important to supplement the dish with vegetables and greens, which will help balance the amount of fat and protein consumed. Thus, moderation and balance in diet are key factors in maintaining health and preventing serious diseases. A sensible combination of foods and avoiding excessive protein and fat intake will help reduce your risk of developing gout, obesity, coronary heart disease, and thrombosis, keeping you healthy for years to come. Mistake for using raw eggs in sauces and desserts, such as mayonnaise or tiramisu. Risk of salmonellosis, toxic infections, gastroenteritis, stomach ulcers using raw eggs in the preparation of homemade sauces, such as mayonnaise, or desserts such as tiramisu can pose significant health risks. Raw eggs can be contaminated with the bacterium Salmonella, which causes one of the most common food poisonings, salmonellosis. This infection can lead to serious consequences, especially in immunocompromised people, children, and the elderly. Studies show that about 1 in 20,000 eggs can be contaminated with salmonella. While this seems like a small probability, on the scale of mass consumption, the risk becomes significant. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, there are thousands of cases of salmonellosis reported each year, many of which are linked to the consumption of raw or inadequately heat-treated eggs. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, there are thousands of cases of salmonellosis reported each year, many of which are linked to the consumption of raw or inadequately heat-treated eggs. The infection can cause severe abdominal pain, diarrhea, fever, and can even lead to stomach ulcers or other chronic GI diseases. In 2010, there was a major salmonellosis outbreak in the United States linked to raw egg consumption that affected more than 1,500 people. One of the most affected was a 30-year-old woman who regularly prepared homemade mayonnaise using raw eggs. After consuming the contaminated product, she was hospitalized with acute gastroenteritis and severe dehydration. Her case, along with others, prompted a massive withdrawal of eggs from the market and increased quality control. To prevent the risk of salmonella, and it is recommended to use pasteurized eggs in the preparation of sauces and desserts, which are not subjected to heat treatment. Pasteurized eggs undergo a special treatment that destroys bacteria while preserving all the beneficial properties of the product. If pasteurized eggs are not available, you can substitute them with safe alternatives such as ready-made store-bought mayonnaise, or using egg substitutes in desserts. Thus, using raw eggs in homemade sauces and desserts can lead to serious illnesses that can have long-term health consequences. To avoid the risk, it is important to use pasteurized eggs or safe substitutes to help keep you and your loved ones healthy. Mistake 5. Consuming raw or undercooked eggs. Risk of salmonellosis, sepsis, severe diarrhea, dehydration, and kidney failure. Consuming raw or undercooked eggs can be extremely dangerous because such eggs can contain salmonella bacteria. These bacteria are one of the most common causes of severe food poisoning. Salmonellosis can lead to acute gastroenteritis characterized by severe diarrhea, vomiting, and abdominal pain, which can lead to dehydration and, in severe cases, kidney failure. Salmonellosis is especially dangerous for children, the elderly, and those with weakened immune systems, as the infection can progress rapidly and lead to sepsis, a potentially fatal condition in which the bacteria spread throughout the body through the bloodstream. Studies show that salmonella infection is a common problem, especially in the United States. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, there are about 1.35 million cases of salmonellosis each year, of which more than 400 cases are fatal. Most of these infections are linked to the consumption of raw or inadequately heat-treated eggs. In 2018, there was a salmonellosis outbreak in the state of California that affected more than 200 people. One of the victims, a 35-year-old man, died of salmonellosis. Regularly consumed raw eggs and shakes to increase muscle mass. As a result, he was hospitalized with symptoms of acute gastroenteritis, which developed into sepsis. Doctors fought for his life for several weeks, and although he recovered, he had to undergo a lengthy rehabilitation program. This case was a prime example of the dangers of consuming raw eggs. To salmonellosis and other infections, consult it is recommended that eggs be fully cooked to kill any bacteria they may contain. Eggs should be boiled, fried, or baked until the yolk and whites are firm. If recipes call for the use of raw eggs, such as for making mayonnaise or tiramisu, only pasteurized eggs that have undergone special heat treatment to kill pathogens should be used. Thus, consuming raw or undercooked eggs is associated with a high risk of contracting salmonella and other pathogens that can lead to serious and even life-threatening illnesses. Ensuring that eggs are properly heat-treated is a simple but crucial step to protect your health and the health of your loved ones. Mistake 6. Insufficient heat treatment when making scrambled eggs or casseroles, risk of foodborne infections, stomach ulcers, chronic intestinal inflammation. Insufficient heat treatment of eggs when preparing omelets, casseroles, and other dishes is one of the most common mistakes in the kitchen. Pathogens such as Campylobacter or Clostridium perfringens can be present in raw or undercooked eggs and pose significant health risks. These bacteria can cause serious foodborne infections accompanied by severe abdominal pain, diarrhea, and vomiting. In more severe cases, infections can lead to stomach ulcers or chronic intestinal inflammation. Requiring long and complex treatment, studies show that undercooked eggs are a major source of infections caused by Campylobacter and Clostridium perfringens bacteria. A study published in the Journal of Food Safety found that about 30% of food poisoning cases in the U.S. are linked to the consumption of undercooked eggs or dishes made from eggs with improper temperature control. These infections can lead to long-term problems with the digestive system and can seriously affect quality of life. In 2019, a Florida clinic reported the case of a 28-year-old woman who regularly made omelets with vegetables, without always cooking the eggs until fully cooked. After one such breakfast, she went to the hospital with severe abdominal pain and diarrhea. Tests revealed an infection caused by the bacterium Campylobacter. Doctors found that the source of the infection was insufficiently heat-treated eggs. The woman was treated with antibiotics, but the infection caused chronic inflammation of the intestines, which required further observation and treatment. To avoid the risk of pathogen infection, eggs should be thoroughly heat-treated. Omelets, casseroles, and other dishes containing eggs should be cooked at a temperature of at least 70 degrees Celsius, 158 degrees Fahrenheit, for sufficient time to ensure that all harmful bacteria are killed. It is also important to ensure that the egg whites and yolks are thickened completely and do not remain liquid. Thus, insufficient heat treatment of eggs when making omelets and casseroles can lead to serious infections and long-term health problems. Following proper cooking methods and heating eggs thoroughly can help avoid these risks and keep the whole family healthy. Mistake 7. Consuming eggs with bright orange or unnatural yolk color, risk of chemical poisoning, metabolic disorders, liver cancer. Bright orange or unnatural egg yolk color is often perceived as a sign of high nutritional value. However, this color may be the result of synthetic additives such as canthraxanthin or other artificial pigments used in bird feed. These substances are added to feed to give eggs the richer color that consumers associate with quality. However, long-term consumption of eggs with this altered composition can be harmful to the human body. Studies show that some artificial additives used to change the color of the yolk may have carcinogenic properties and can disrupt the body's metabolic processes. The study, published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, notes that long-term consumption of products containing synthetic pigments can lead to the accumulation of toxic substances in the liver and increase the risk of metabolic disorders and liver cancer. In one case reported at a Los Angeles clinic, a 42-year-old man presented with complaints of abdominal pain and digestive problems. On examination, it was found that he regularly consumed eggs with bright orange yolk, which he thought were healthier. However, during analysis, traces of synthetic additives used in poultry feed were found to be the cause of his symptoms. The patient showed early signs of metabolic disorders and was referred to the hospital, and an increased risk of developing liver disease. To avoid the risks associated with consuming eggs with unnaturally bright yolk color, it is recommended to choose eggs produced on farms with natural bird feed, without the use of synthetic additives. Pay attention to the labeling, which confirms that the eggs are produced without the use of artificial pigments and other chemical additives. It is also a good idea to contact local producers who can provide information about the birds' husbandry practices and the composition of their feed. Thus, consuming eggs with unnatural yolk color can be associated with serious health risks, including poisoning, metabolic disorders, and liver cancer. Choosing natural products and being conscious about your diet can help you avoid these dangers and keep you healthy for years to come. Mistake 8. Consuming eggs from unknown or unsafe suppliers. Farm eggs. Risk of brucellosis, ornithosis, salmonellosis, infectious liver disease. Buying eggs from unknown or unreliable suppliers, especially from markets or farmers without proper sanitary inspection, can have serious consequences. Eggs that are sold under unsanitary conditions can be contaminated with dangerous bacteria and viruses. Some of the most common diseases associated with such eggs are brucellosis and ornithosis, which are transmitted from animals to humans and through infected animal products. Studies show that eggs purchased from unreliable suppliers are often a source of dangerous infections. A study published in the Journal of Food Protection found that 20% of human infections with salmonella and other pathogens were linked to the consumption of eggs purchased from uncontrolled suppliers. These infections can lead to serious illnesses, especially if not addressed in a timely manner. In 2017, a Texas clinic reported the case of a 65-year-old man who purchased eggs at a local market from an unknown supplier. After consuming the eggs, he died. He felt weak, started experiencing headaches and abdominal pain. The symptoms soon worsened, and the patient was diagnosed with brucellosis, a bacterial infection that can lead to chronic liver disease and other serious complications. The man was hospitalized and underwent long-term treatment that included a course of antibiotics. To prevent the risk of contracting dangerous infections, it is recommended to purchase eggs only from verified and certified suppliers where all sanitary standards are observed. Eggs should be stored under proper conditions and properly tested for pathogens. If you prefer to buy eggs from local farmers, make sure that their products are certified and that they follow the necessary sanitary standards. Thus, buying eggs from unreliable suppliers can lead to serious infectious diseases that can threaten your life and health. A responsible approach to product selection and origin can help you avoid dangerous infections and keep you healthy. Mistake 9. Consuming eggs while taking certain medications or if you have cardiovascular disease, risk of drug interactions, increased cholesterol, thrombosis, heart attacks. Egg consumption in the presence of cardiovascular disease or while taking certain medications requires special caution. Eggs, especially the cholesterol-rich yolks, can affect blood cholesterol levels and increase the risk of atherosclerosis, which is especially dangerous for people with pre-existing cardiovascular problems. In addition, some medications, such as statins, cholesterol-lowering drugs, can interact with cholesterol-rich foods, reducing their effectiveness or causing side effects. Research suggests that excessive egg consumption may be associated with an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, especially in people with a predisposition to high cholesterol levels. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, found that people who regularly consumed eggs, especially more than 3 a day, had a 27% increased risk of cardiovascular disease compared to those who consumed eggs less frequently. In one case described in the medical literature, a 60-year-old man suffering from coronary heart disease regularly ate 4 eggs for breakfast. Despite his doctor's advice to limit his cholesterol intake, he was also taking statins to control his cholesterol levels. A few months later, he suffered a heart attack. tests showed that his cholesterol levels remained high despite treatment, which was linked to his constant egg consumption. Doctors concluded that his diet neutralized the positive effects of the medication. Other studies show that certain foods, including eggs, can significantly affect the pharmacokinetics of drugs. According to a study published in the Journal of Clinical Pharmacology, foods high in protein can affect the metabolism of drugs in the liver, altering their concentration in the blood and therefore their efficacy. This is especially important for patients undergoing long-term treatment or taking medications that require precise dosing. Also, a case of a 55-year-old woman treated with anticoagulants drugs that prevent blood clotting was reported at a hospital in New York City. The patient, on the recommendation of a nutritionist, consumed eggs for breakfast every day. However, further examination revealed that eggs, as a source of vitamin K, reduced the effectiveness of the anticoagulants, which could lead to blood clots and potentially dangerous health consequences. Doctors adjusted her diet to exclude eggs and better control her blood clotting levels. To minimize risk, it is recommended to reduce your egg intake, especially yolks, if you have cardiovascular disease or if you are taking medications that affect cholesterol levels. Instead of eggs, you can use cholesterol-free protein products or egg whites, which contain all the protein you need without the extra fat and cholesterol. Instead of eggs, you can use cholesterol-free protein products or egg whites, which contain all the protein you need without the extra fat and cholesterol. It is important to consult a doctor or nutritionist to make a safe and healthy diet. Thus, consuming eggs while suffering from cardiovascular disease or taking certain medications can significantly affect the effectiveness of treatment and increase the risk of serious complications. A responsible approach to diet and consultation with your doctor can help you avoid these risks and keep you healthy for years to come. Mistake 10. Improper egg storage. Risk of salmonellosis, gastroenteritis, food poisoning. Improper egg storage is a common mistake that can lead to serious health consequences. Eggs left out of the refrigerator at room temperature, especially in warm weather, can provide a breeding ground for bacteria such as salmonella. Even if the eggs look normal, they may be contaminated, and it won't be noticeable until a person experiences symptoms of food poisoning. Studies show that improper storage of eggs significantly increases the risk of bacteria contamination. According to data released by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, in cases of salmonella food poisoning linked to eggs, a significant portion was due to improper storage conditions. Storing eggs at temperatures above 7 degrees Celsius 6 degrees Fahrenheit can accelerate bacterial growth and increase the risk of infections. In 2016, an outbreak of salmonellosis was reported in Arizona, affecting more than 50 people. Investigations revealed that the outbreak was caused by eggs that had been stored outside of the refrigerator in the kitchen of a restaurant for several hours before cooking. As a result, several customers, including children and the elderly, ended up in the hospital with symptoms of acute gastroenteritis caused by salmonella. This case was another reminder of the importance of proper egg storage, both at home and in catering establishments. To minimize risks, eggs should be stored in a refrigerator at a temperature no higher than 4 degrees Celsius, 39.2 degrees Fahrenheit. Eggs should be placed on the inside shelf of the refrigerator, not on the door where the temperature can fluctuate when opened. Also, you should not wash eggs before storing them, as this can remove their natural protective film, increasing the risk of bacteria entering. Thus, proper egg storage is a key step in preventing food poisoning and protecting your health. Following temperature settings and other guidelines can help avoid serious illnesses associated with infections caused by improper food storage. Also, some people wash eggs before storing them in the refrigerator. This can cause illnesses such as salmonellosis, food poisoning, chronic GI infections. Washing eggs before storage can remove the natural protective film on the shell, allowing bacteria to enter and multiply. This increases the risk of food poisoning. Foodborne infections. You should never do this. How to use eggs safely for maximum benefits. The important thing here is to follow a few simple, but extremely important rules. These rules will help you not only get all the valuable nutrients from eggs, but also avoid possible health risks. First of all, choose eggs of high quality. The ideal choice is organic eggs produced on farms where hens are kept in natural conditions and fed natural feed without additives or antibiotics. Such eggs tend to contain more vitamins and healthy fats and have a richer flavor. Egg storage is another important aspect of egg safety. Eggs should be stored in the refrigerator at a temperature no higher than 4 degrees Celsius, 39.2 degrees Fahrenheit. This will help prevent the growth of bacteria, such as salmonella, that may be on the shell or inside the egg. Also, don't store eggs on the refrigerator door where temperatures can fluctuate. It's best to place them on the center shelf where conditions remain stable. There are also a few important rules to follow when cooking eggs. Whether you are going to make scrambled eggs, boil eggs, or add them to baked goods, make sure they are subjected to adequate heat treatment. Cooking 70 degrees Celsius, 158 degrees Fahrenheit, to kill all possible pathogens. For example, boil eggs for at least 7 to 9 minutes after the water boils, so that the yolk and white are fully cooked. It is especially important to avoid using raw eggs in dishes that are not heat-treated, such as homemade mayonnaise or tiramisu. If a recipe calls for raw eggs, it's best to use pasteurized eggs, which are specially treated and considered safe to eat raw. If you are concerned about heart health, medications that affect cholesterol levels, limit your consumption of eggs, especially the yolks, and consult your doctor or nutritionist. Egg whites can be a great alternative, providing your body with pure protein without the extra cholesterol. Finally, always pay attention to the expiration date of eggs and don't use them if they look or smell suspicious. A simple way to test the freshness of an egg is to drop it into a glass of water. Fresh eggs will sink to the bottom, while old eggs will float, indicating that they need to be disposed of. By following these simple but important guidelines, you can enjoy all the health benefits of eggs without fearing for your health. Eggs, if handled properly, will not only be a delicious, but also a safe part of your diet, bringing maximum benefits to your body. What do you think about this? Do you agree with these statements? If there are any questions, ask them in the comments. More information on this topic can be found at the links in the description below this video and on our channel. Subscribe and hit the bell for all notifications. Please like and share this video with your friends. Thanks to our sponsors for their support. I eagerly await your comments and encourage you to watch these useful videos.
Olive oil is the world's favorite irreplaceable component of a healthy diet. But did you know that using it incorrectly can be a health disaster? In this video, we will reveal 10 fatal olive oil mistakes that can cost you your life. These mistakes can cause cancer, heart attack, intestinal, liver, and pancreatic problems. From improper storage to dangerous cooking methods. You'll be shocked to learn how dangerous what was thought to be healthy can be. Watch to the end to protect your health and avoid these pitfalls. This video will be extremely informative and helpful. So if you want to become a master of your health, click like and subscribe. And let's get started. Mistake 1. Frying olive oil at too high a temperature. Risk of carcinogens. This is the most common mistake that has already been fatal for so many people around the world. Frying first cold-pressed olive oil at too high a temperature can lead to the development of serious and life-threatening diseases such as stomach, colon, liver, and pancreatic cancer. When oil overheats and exceeds its smoke point, 190 to 207 degrees Celsius, 374 to 405 degrees Fahrenheit, it begins to decompose and release acrolein, a potent carcinogen that can cause mutations in DNA and contribute to the rapid progression of cancer. Studies show that long-term exposure to carcinogens such as acrolein can significantly increase the body's risk of developing cancer. Specifically, it has been found that regular consumption of foods cooked with overly heated olive oil can lead to stomach, colon, liver, and pancreatic cancers. These cancers are considered some of the most aggressive and difficult to treat. For example, a 2017 study from the University of Leeds found that people who regularly consumed fried foods cooked in high-temperature oils had a 40% higher risk of developing stomach cancer. Another study published in the journal Cancer Epidemiology noted that carcinogens produced by frying olive oil may not only promote cancer but also accelerate its progression. One clear example of the consequences of such a mistake can be seen in the case of a famous chef from Italy who used olive oil for frying in his restaurant for many years. Despite his attention to the quality of ingredients and his commitment to healthy eating, this chef was forced to leave his profession because he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Experts attribute his illness specifically to prolonged exposure to carcinogens produced by frying in overly hot oil. To avoid such serious consequences, it is necessary to follow a few simple rules. First, it should be remembered that first cold-pressed olive oil is best used for salad dressing, marinades, and adding to already prepared dishes, for frying and other cooking processes involving high temperatures. Refined olive oil or other heat-resistant oils such as avocado oil or coconut oil are preferable. Secondly, it is always a good idea to monitor the temperature of the oil when cooking. Using a kitchen thermometer will help avoid overheating the oil and prevent it from breaking down into dangerous components. Finally, avoid using the same frying oil repeatedly, as each heating increases the amount of harmful substances. Thus, frying olive oil at too high a temperature is not just a mistake, but a potentially deadly trap that can lead to the development of serious cancers. Knowing and following the rules of using this valuable product will help you preserve its beneficial properties and avoid serious health problems. Remember that your health is the result of your daily choices, and the proper use of olive oil is one of them. Mistake 2. Using rancid olive oil, risk of liver toxicity. You have no idea how dangerous this can be. Rancid olive oil seems harmless at first glance, but it can actually be a real poison to your body, especially your liver. This mistake can lead to the development of serious diseases such as cirrhosis, hepatocellular carcinoma, liver cancer, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and acute liver failure. When oil becomes rancid, it accumulates oxidized fats and free radicals that have a damaging effect on liver cells. The liver is our body's primary filter, cleansing toxins from the blood and regulating metabolism. But when oxidized fats and free radicals from rancid oil enter it, they begin to damage liver cells, causing inflammation and damaging healthy tissue. Studies have shown that such damage can lead to fibrosis and then cirrhosis, a condition in which healthy cells are replaced by scar tissue, which impairs the functioning of the organ. In the long term, this can lead to the development of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. where excess fat builds up in the organ, causing it to become inflamed. If left untreated, this condition can develop into hepatocellular carcinoma, one of the most aggressive forms of liver cancer, which is often diagnosed at late stages and has an extremely unfavorable prognosis. Consider a case from clinical practice. A 55-year-old woman who had been using olive oil for many years. Unaware that it had become rancid, she complained of chronic fatigue, right subcostal pain, and a gradual decrease in body weight. An examination revealed that she had developed cirrhosis of the liver despite no history of alcohol abuse. Doctors attributed this to her long-term consumption of rancid oil, which was the main source of fat in her diet. To avoid such serious consequences, it is important to carefully monitor the condition of your olive oil. Rancid oil is easily recognized by a change in color, smell, or taste. It may become cloudy, have a pungent, unpleasant odor, or taste bitter. If you notice such changes, get rid of the oil immediately. Consuming it is extremely dangerous to your health. Store olive oil in a dark glass bottle, away from sources of heat and light. This will help slow down the oxidation process and extend the shelf life of the oil. Also keep in mind that once the bottle is opened, it is best to use the oil within 6 months, as it loses its health benefits with each passing day. Thus, using rancid olive oil is not just a nuisance but a serious threat to your health. The oxidized fats and free radicals that accumulate in rancid oil can lead to the destruction of liver cells and the development of dangerous diseases such as cirrhosis and liver cancer. Store your oil carefully, monitor its quality, and avoid consuming a product that has lost its original properties. This simple rule will help you protect your health and prevent serious diseases. Mistake 3. Using expired oil. Risk of consuming oxidized fats. You don't even realize that this can lead to deadly consequences. Using expired olive oil can cause serious diseases such as atherosclerosis, coronary heart disease, myocardial infarction, and stomach cancer. When olive oil loses its antioxidant properties, it becomes rancid and potentially toxic, because it begins to accumulate oxidized fats that can cause oxidative stress in the body. The oxidized fats that form in expired oil are a real health hazard. These fats can initiate the process of oxidative stress in the body, leading to damage to cell membranes, proteins, and DNA. Oxidative stress is a major contributing factor in the development of atherosclerosis, a disease in which atherosclerotic plaques form on the walls of arteries, narrowing blood vessels and impairing blood flow. Over time, this can lead to the development of coronary heart disease, when the heart stops receiving enough oxygen due to narrowing of the coronary arteries. This condition can end in a myocardial infarction and acute disruption of blood supply to the heart muscle. That is often fatal. Also, oxidized fats getting into the stomach can contribute to the development of gastric cancer, especially if their consumption becomes regular. Consider a case from medical practice. A man in his 60s who for several years had been using olive oil that had long since expired. He complained of constant chest pains, high blood pressure, and general weakness. An examination revealed atherosclerosis and coronary heart disease, which the doctors believed was caused by the prolonged use of rancid oil. He urgently needed an operation to install a stent to restore normal blood flow in the coronary arteries. To avoid such severe consequences, it is necessary to strictly monitor the shelf life of olive oil. Note that even if the oil has been stored in ideal conditions, its quality begins to deteriorate as soon as the bottle is opened. It is recommended to use an open bottle of olive oil within 6 months to avoid oxidation. Store the oil in a cool and dark place. preferably in a dark glass bottle to minimize exposure to light and heat, which accelerate the oxidation process. Never use expired oil, even if it seems fine at first glance. It is better to throw away the old oil and buy a fresh one than to risk your health. So using expired butter is not just saving money on a product, but a real threat to your health. The oxidized fats that accumulate in such oil can lead to the development of serious diseases, including atherosclerosis, coronary heart disease, and stomach cancer. Your safety and health should come first. So keep a close eye on the expiration date of the oil and avoid using it if it has expired. Proper storage and timely use of olive oil can help you avoid these dangerous consequences. Mistake 4, using fake olive oil, risk of consuming dangerous additives. It's not just losing a hurtful amount of money, but also a serious threat to your health. Counterfeit oil, which is often sold under the guise of real olive oil, can contain dangerous additives and be diluted with low-quality vegetable oils. This can lead to the development of serious diseases such as stomach cancer, esophageal cancer, pancreatic cancer, myocardial infarction, stroke, and atherosclerosis. When you buy fake olive oil, you are risking your health because it may contain trans fats, which are powerful carcinogens that cause permanent damage in the body. Trans fats are a type of unsaturated fats that are formed by hydrogenating oils, which makes them solid at room temperature and greatly extends the shelf life of the product. However, despite this, their health hazards are enormous. Studies have shown that regular consumption of trans fats significantly increases levels of bad cholesterol, low-density lipoproteins in the blood, while lowering levels of good cholesterol, high-density lipoproteins. This leads to the accumulation of fatty deposits on the walls of the arteries, which causes atherosclerosis, a disease that is the leading cause of heart attacks and strokes. In addition, trans fats can initiate and accelerate the processes of carcinogenesis, the formation of cancer cells. Scientific evidence indicates that they can contribute to the development of stomach, esophageal, and pancreatic cancer, especially if their consumption becomes regular. Imagine the situation. A young man who was convinced he was leading a healthy lifestyle used olive oil daily for cooking. However, after a few years, he began to experience symptoms that he did not initially attribute to the diet: increased fatigue, abdominal pain, heart problems. After going to the doctor and undergoing tests, it was discovered that he had developed atherosclerosis, as well as the early stages of stomach cancer. The cause of these problems turned out to be fake olive oil, which he used without knowing its true composition. To avoid such serious consequences, it is important to choose olive oil carefully. Buy the product only from proven producers and in stores that are trustworthy. Pay attention to the packaging. Authentic olive oil often has quality marks such as do PTA or IGPA Geographic, which indicate its authenticity and quality. You should also avoid oil that is too cheap, as it is likely to be fake or of low-quality real olive oil. Cannot be too cheap because of the high quality of the raw materials and the complexity of the production process. If the price is too low, it is the first signal that the product might be fake. Thus, using fake olive oil is not just a disappointment, but also a serious threat to your health. The carcinogenic trans fats and other dangerous additives that such oil may contain can lead to cancer, cardiovascular diseases, and even death, and other serious problems. Always check the authenticity of the product before buying and be careful about your choice, because your health and life may depend on it. Mistake 5. Adding olive oil to hot dishes immediately after cooking, risk of carcinogens. This action can be deadly. Adding olive oil to hot dishes immediately after cooking them, when the temperature of the food is still high, can cause the development of serious diseases such as cancer of the esophagus, stomach, large intestine, and pancreas. This is because when oil comes into contact with hot food, it oxidizes and produces dangerous carcinogenic compounds that can cause irreparable damage to your body. When you're 150 degrees Celsius, 302 degrees Fahrenheit, the oil begins to oxidize rapidly, losing its antioxidant properties and becoming a source of hazardous substances. One of these substances is lipid peroxide, a compound that is formed when fatty acids are broken down. These peroxides not only damage body cells but also initiate mutation processes that can lead to cancer. Scientific studies confirm that regular consumption of fatty acids food with carcinogenic compounds formed as a result of oxidation of oils significantly increases the risk of gastrointestinal cancer. According to data published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute, people who regularly add olive oil to hot dishes are 30 to 40% more likely to develop esophageal and stomach cancer. There was a married couple in the US who had long considered themselves advocates of healthy eating. They cooked home-cooked meals daily and tried to consume olive oil, believing it to be healthy. However, they were unaware that adding oil to hot dishes, such as soups or stewed vegetables, actually posed a risk to their health. Years later, one of the spouses was diagnosed with stomach cancer. Doctors attributed it to long-term exposure to carcinogenic compounds that were formed when olive oil was used improperly. To avoid the danger, never add olive oil to dishes immediately after cooking them when the temperature of the food is still too high. Instead, allow the dish to cool slightly to a safe temperature, below 120 degrees Celsius, 248 degrees Fahrenheit, before adding the oil. This will help preserve its beneficial properties and prevent harmful compounds from forming. It is best to use olive oil for dressing dishes that have already cooled completely or for making salads and sauces where the temperature remains low. This will allow you to get all the benefits of this oil without the health risks. Thus, adding olive oil to hot dishes immediately after cooking them is a hidden threat that can lead to esophageal, stomach, colon, and pancreatic cancers. To protect yourself and your loved ones, carefully monitor the temperature of your food before adding oil and try to use it where it retains its health benefits without risking your health. Your health is your choice, and using olive oil correctly is one of the most important steps to preserving it. Mistake 6. Combining olive oil with foods that accelerate oxidation. Risk of toxins. This culinary habit can be a death trap. Mixing olive oil with foods prone to rapid oxidation, such as chopped vegetables or nuts, transcripts can lead to the formation of dangerous toxins that can cause serious diseases such as skin, stomach, and lung cancer, as well as chronic inflammatory diseases, including arthritis and inflammatory bowel disease. This process may seem harmless, but it actually leads to the formation of lipid peroxides, compounds that destroy cells and damage DNA, causing irreversible changes in the body. When olive oil is mixed with foods that are prone to rapid oxidation, this process is greatly accelerated. For example, sliced vegetables such as tomatoes or cucumbers begin to rapidly lose their antioxidant properties and become oxidized. When combined with olive oil, this process leads to the formation of lipid peroxides, which are extremely toxic to the body's cells. Lipid peroxides are able to penetrate cell membranes, causing them to break down and initiating a cascade of inflammatory reactions. These reactions can lead to chronic inflammatory diseases such as arthritis and inflammatory bowel disease. Even more dangerously, these peroxides can damage the DNA of cells, increasing the risk of mutations and consequently the development of cancer. Studies show that regular consumption of foods rich in lipid peroxides significantly increases the risk of developing cancer. In particular, a 2018 study published in the journal Food Chemistry demonstrated that foods containing such compounds increase the risk of stomach and lung cancer by 25 to 30%. Consider a real-life example. A young woman who was actively pursuing a healthy diet regularly prepared salads using chopped vegetables and nuts dressed with olive oil. At first glance, it was the perfect choice for maintaining her health. However, after a few years, she started having skin problems, showing frequent inflammation, and went to see a dermatologist. It turned out that she had developed skin cancer. Specialists have come to the conclusion that this could be caused by lipid peroxides formed in her usual dishes. To avoid such dangerous consequences, it is necessary to properly approach the use of olive oil in combination with other products. First, try to avoid long storage of chopped vegetables and nuts mixed with olive oil. It is best to prepare salads and other dishes just before consumption to minimize the risk of oxidation. Secondly, use fresh ingredients and try to cut vegetables and fruits just before cooking. This will help preserve their antioxidant properties and prevent lipid peroxides from forming. Finally, if you are adding nuts to a salad or other dish, make sure they are fresh and have not been stored for long periods of time, especially at high temperatures, as this can also accelerate the oxidation process. So combining olive oil with foods prone to rapid oxidation may seem like a harmless habit, but it's actually a hidden threat to your health. The lipid peroxides produced by this process can cause serious health problems, including cancer and chronic inflammatory diseases. To protect your health, keep an eye on the freshness of your ingredients and try to prepare your meals just before consumption, avoiding long-term storage of foods mixed with olive oil. Mistake 7. Storing oil in plastic containers, risk of chemical contamination and cancer. This mistake can discreetly poison your body. Storing olive oil in plastic containers is not just a convenience, but a potential threat to your health. Plastic, especially when stored for long periods of time or exposed to heat, can release toxic substances such as bisphenol A, BPA, into the oil that can disrupt the endocrine system and increase your risk of developing dangerous diseases such as breast cancer, prostate cancer, infertility, endocrine disruption, and diabetes. Bisphenol A, BPA, is a chemical compound that is widely used in the manufacture of plastic containers and packaging. When plastic is exposed to heat or prolonged storage, BPA can penetrate the food contained in the container, including olive oil. This compound is an endocrine disruptor, meaning it interferes with the body's hormonal balance by mimicking or blocking the actions of natural hormones. Studies have shown that even low levels of BPA can be extremely dangerous, especially with long-term exposure. For example, one study conducted by the U.S. National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences found that exposure to BPA is associated with an increased risk of breast and prostate cancer. Moreover, BPA can lead to infertility because it disrupts the normal function of sex hormones, making it particularly dangerous for women and men of reproductive age. In addition, BPA and other toxic compounds found in plastic can contribute to endocrine disorders and metabolic diseases such as diabetes. These substances can affect insulin receptors, leading to impaired blood sugar regulation and the development of insulin resistance, a precursor to diabetes. Consider a real-life example. A 45-year-old man from the United States who was active in sports and watched his diet, stored olive oil in a plastic bottle. He used this oil daily for cooking, unaware of the hidden danger. After a few years, he began to show symptoms that included chronic fatigue, metabolic disorders, and reproductive problems. A medical examination revealed that he had developed diabetes and hormonal imbalances. Doctors concluded that this could have been caused by prolonged exposure to BPA that had penetrated the oil from plastic containers. To avoid the risk of chemical contamination of olive oil and protect your health, never store it in plastic containers, especially if it is exposed to heat or stored for long periods of time. Instead, use only glass or metal containers, preferably dark-colored, to protect the oil from light exposure. It's also important to store olive oil in a cool and dark place to minimize the chance of releasing toxic substances. Remember, your health is your responsibility, and proper food storage is one of the most important aspects of preserving it. Thus, storing olive oil in plastic containers can lead to serious consequences for your health, including the development of cancer, infertility, and other dangerous diseases. Toxic substances such as bisphenol A, which are released from plastic, can sneak into your oil unnoticed and have devastating effects on your body. Protect yourself and your loved ones by using safe storage methods, and avoid using plastic containers for valuable products like olive oil. Mistake 8. Using olive oil after it has been frozen and then thawed. Risk of chemical changes and toxicity. This mistake may seem harmless, but in fact this action can cause serious changes in the chemical composition of the oil. These changes can destroy beneficial fats and antioxidants, turning the oil into a source of toxic substances. This, in turn, can cause serious diseases such as stomach cancer, liver cancer, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and coronary heart disease. Olive oil contains monounsaturated fats and antioxidants, which provide significant health benefits by protecting cells from oxidative stress and promoting normal cardiovascular function. However, freezing and subsequent thawing can break down these beneficial components and can result in the formation of toxic substances such as lipid peroxides. Lipid peroxides are the result of fat oxidation and are extremely dangerous to the body. They can damage cell membranes, compromising their integrity, leading to inflammation and increasing the risk of cancer and other chronic diseases. For example, stomach and liver cancers are closely linked to chronic exposure to toxic substances that destroy healthy cells and promote their malignant transformation. In addition, olive oil that has been repeatedly frozen and thawed loses its antioxidant properties, reducing its ability to protect cells from oxidative stress. This is especially dangerous for the liver, which plays a key role in detoxifying the body. Over time, it can lead to the development of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which can progress to more serious conditions such as cirrhosis or liver cancer. Coronary heart disease can also be linked to changes in the chemical composition of olive oil after it has been frozen. The loss of antioxidants and the formation of lipid peroxides can contribute to atherosclerosis, a disease in which arteries become clogged with fatty deposits, increasing the risk of myocardial infarction and other cardiovascular diseases. For here is a real-life example of a young woman from the United States who, wanting to preserve fresh olive oil for a longer period of time, decided to freeze it. After a few months, she thawed the oil and started using it for cooking, not realizing that the oil had lost its health benefits. After a while, she began to notice stomach problems and began to experience pain in her right subcostal region. Doctors diagnosed her with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which began to progress to cirrhosis. This came as a shock to her, as she had always considered olive oil a healthy product. But it turned out that improper storage had led to tragic consequences. To avoid dangerous consequences, Never freeze olive oil. This disrupts its chemical structure and turns a useful product into a potentially dangerous one. Olive oil is best stored in a cool, dark place where the temperature remains stable and not subjected to extreme conditions such as freezing. If you want to extend the shelf life of olive oil, keep it in a dark glass bottle and use it within 6 to 12 months of opening. Avoid buying oil in large quantities unless you plan to use it soon. This will help you retain all the beneficial properties of the oil and prevent it from oxidizing. Thus, using olive oil after it has been frozen and then thawed is a mistake that can cost you your health. Changes in the chemical composition of the oil can lead to the formation of toxic substances that cause stomach cancer, liver cancer, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and other diseases, and coronary heart disease. To protect yourself and your loved ones, store olive oil properly and avoid freezing it. Your health depends on the proper handling of this valuable product. Mistake 9. Using olive oil for cooking in the microwave. Risk of toxic compounds. This mistake can lead to serious changes in its chemical composition, which can eventually cause serious diseases, such as lung cancer, esophageal cancer, chronic lung disease, and cardiovascular disease. When exposed to microwave radiation, the beneficial components of olive oil are destroyed, and toxic compounds such as aldehydes are formed, which are extremely harmful to your body. Microwave radiation used for fast cooking affects the olive oil molecules, causing them to vibrate and heat up. In doing so, the oil not only loses its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, but also undergoes degradation at the molecular level. One result of this process is the formation of aldehydes, toxic compounds that can penetrate and damage cells. Aldehydes can cause oxidative stress, which leads to inflammation and mutations in cells. This significantly increases the risk of cancer, especially lung and esophageal cancer. Studies show that regular consumption of food cooked with microwave-exposed oils can increase the likelihood of developing these cancers by 20 to 30%. In addition, aldehydes have a devastating effect on the lungs, causing chronic inflammation such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. They can also contribute to cardiovascular disease by damaging blood vessels and increasing the risk of myocardial infarction and stroke. A real-life case study: a man from the US cooked his food daily in the microwave using olive oil to make his meals healthier. He truly believed that olive oil protected his health, but he did not realize that this cooking method was the cause of his future problems. A few years later, he began complaining of frequent shortness of breath and chest pain. An examination revealed he had the early stages of lung cancer and signs of coronary heart disease. Medical professionals believe that one of the reasons for the development of these diseases was the consumption of food cooked with microwave and olive oil. To avoid dangerous consequences, never use olive oil for microwave cooking. This cooking method destroys the beneficial properties of the oil and creates dangerous compounds that can cause irreparable damage to your health. It is best to use olive oil in dishes that are cooked at low temperatures, such as for salad dressings, marinades, or to add to cooked dishes. If you need to cook or reheat food quickly, use alternative methods such as baking or stovetop braising. This will preserve the beneficial properties of the oil and prevent the formation of toxic substances. Thus, using olive oil for microwave cooking is a serious mistake that can cause lung cancer, esophageal cancer, and other serious diseases. Microwaves destroy the beneficial components of the oil and turn it into a source of toxic aldehydes that can cause irreparable damage to your health. Protect yourself and your loved ones by avoiding this cooking method and only use olive oil in dishes that are cooked at safe temperatures. Your health is your most important asset, and protecting it depends on your conscious decisions. Mistake 10. Using olive oil for long-term food storage. Risk of botulism. This mistake can be fatal. Using olive oil to store foods such as vegetables or herbs for long periods of time without proper sterilization can lead to the development of a deadly disease called botulism. This threat comes from the bacterium Clostridium botulinum, which is capable of causing severe illnesses such as botulism, accompanied by paralysis, respiratory failure, and ultimately death. Olive oil, due to its antioxidant properties, is a popular choice for storing foods such as garlic, peppers, or herbs. However, when these foods are preserved in oil for long periods of time without strict sterilization conditions, they can create an ideal environment for the development of Clostridium botulinum, the bacterium responsible for the production of botulinum toxin, one of nature's most potent poisons. Botulinum toxin blocks nerve impulses and can cause paralysis of muscles, including the respiratory muscles, leading to respiratory failure and death unless immediate action is taken. Botulism often begins with symptoms such as double vision, difficulty swallowing, and muscle weakness. But without immediate medical intervention, a patient's condition can quickly deteriorate. Studies show that even small amounts of botulinum toxin can be deadly. Specifically, a study conducted by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, in the United States found that cases of botulism are often linked to the consumption of home canned foods, including those that have been stored in oil. In most cases, the contaminated food looked and smelled normal, making the danger even more hidden. As an example from life, take a family from the United States who made homemade preserves using olive oil. They stored garlic and peppers in the oil, planning to use them to enhance the flavor of their dishes. One day, at a family dinner, these canned foods were used, and within hours, several family members developed symptoms, including difficulty breathing and paralysis. It was later discovered that the cause was botulism, which resulted from improperly storing the food in oil. Fortunately, everyone survived, but immediate medical intervention was required, which saved their lives. To avoid the risk of botulism, never store food in olive oil without following strict sterilization conditions. If you plan to can vegetables or herbs in oil, make sure all jars and lids used are thoroughly sterilized. Use only fresh ingredients and follow proven canning recipes that call for safe storage conditions. Also, store such foods in the refrigerator and consume them within a few days. Never store foods in oil at room temperature for a long period of time, as it significantly increases the risk of Clostridium botulinum. Thus, using olive oil to store foods for long periods of time is a potentially deadly mistake that can lead to the development of botulism. This severe neurological disease can cause paralysis and respiratory failure, making it one of the most dangerous health threats. To avoid such consequences, strictly follow the rules for sterilizing and storing foods in oil, remembering that your health and life depend on your caution and awareness. How to use olive oil safely for maximum benefits. Here are a few key aspects to keep in mind to help you avoid serious mistakes and stay healthy. Stick to these guidelines and olive oil will become a valuable part of your diet, providing your body with nutrients and protecting it from disease. Let's start with the most important thing. In the choice of oil, pay attention to the origin and quality of the product. Preference should be given to extra virgin olive oil, which retains all the beneficial substances. Make sure the oil is produced in a region known for its olive growing tradition, such as Italy, Spain, or Greece on the packaging. Look for quality markings such as DOP or IGP, which confirm the authenticity and high standards of the product. Storage of the oil is another critical aspect. Olive oil is sensitive to light, heat, and air, so it should be stored in a dark glass bottle tightly closed, away from direct sunlight and heat sources. The storage temperature should be stable and should not exceed 15 to 20 degrees Celsius, 59 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. This will help avoid oxidation and spoilage of the oil, preserving its freshness and beneficial properties. Olive oil, despite its many health benefits, should be consumed in moderation. This is due to its high caloric content, approximately 120 calories per tablespoon. It is recommended to use the oil for salad dressing, adding it to cooked dishes or making sauces, avoiding excessive consumption. Moderation is the key to staying healthy and maintaining a normal weight. Remember to regularly check the freshness of your oil. Olive oil has a limited shelf life, and after this time it loses its antioxidant properties and can become rancid, even if the oil is stored under ideal conditions. It is recommended to use it within 6 to 12 months of opening the bottle. Signs of spoilage include discoloration, foul odor, and bitter taste. If you notice any of these, it is better to get rid of the oil and purchase a fresh one. Take into account the individual characteristics of your body. Olive oil is rich in fatty acids, which can be hard to digest in some people, especially if you have gastrointestinal problems. If you have such problems, consult your doctor before consuming olive oil on a regular basis. In some cases, you may need to adjust your diet or choose lighter oils. Olive oil is ideal for salad dressings, marinades, and adding to cooked dishes. But don't be afraid to experiment with using it in other cooking techniques. For example, you can add butter to soups and stews after cooking is complete to retain all of its beneficial properties. Butter also combines well with whole grains and legumes, increasing their nutritional value and enriching their flavor. Conclusion: the proper use of olive oil is an art that requires attention to detail. Choose a quality product. Store it in the right conditions. Observe moderation and take into account the peculiarities of your body. By following these simple recommendations, you will be able to enjoy all the benefits of this amazing oil, ensuring your health and longevity. Remember that every drop of olive oil, used with care and attention, brings you closer to a healthy and happy life. What do you think about this? Do you agree with these statements? If there are any questions, ask them in the comments. More information on this topic can be found at the links in the description below this video and on our channel. Subscribe and hit the bell for all notifications. Please like and share this video with your friends. Thanks to our sponsors for their support. I eagerly await your comments and encourage you to watch these useful videos.
In this fascinating video, we'll tell you about 10 common mistakes that many people make when using cucumbers. This nutritious vegetable is known for its many health benefits, but improper preparation and storage can significantly reduce its health benefits. We're sure you're making at least 5 of these mistakes. And if you correct them, you can maximize all the valuable qualities of this amazing vegetable. Watch until the very end. The final reveal will amaze you. This video will be extremely informative and helpful. So, if you want to become a master of your health, click like. And let's get started. Mistake 1. Removing the peel of the cucumber. The most common mistake many people make is peeling cucumbers from the rind. At first glance, it may not seem like the peel is that important, as its texture sometimes feels rough and less appealing to consume. However, it is in the peel of the cucumber that the real treasures of nutrients are hidden, which can significantly enrich your diet. Cucumber peels contain a significant amount of fiber, one of the key components that promote digestive health. Studies show that adequate fiber intake can reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, improve blood sugar levels, and promote weight loss. For example, according to the Harvard School of Public Health, it is recommended that adults consume at least 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day, but most people get much less. Consuming cucumbers along with the peel can help make up for this deficit. In addition to fiber, cucumber peels are concentrated in vitamins such as vitamin K, which plays an important role in maintaining bone and cardiovascular health. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition emphasizes the importance of vitamin K in preventing osteoporosis and reducing the risk of fractures. Just 100 grams of cucumbers with the peel can provide up to 16% of the daily value of this vitamin. Antioxidants such as beta-carotene are also present in cucumber peels. Beta-carotene is converted in the body into vitamin A, which is essential for maintaining healthy skin, vision, and immune system. Studies show that regular consumption of antioxidant-rich foods can reduce the risk of chronic diseases, including cancer and heart disease. For example, a study conducted by the National Institutes of Health found that antioxidants play a key role in protecting cells from oxidative stress, which is a factor in aging and the development of chronic diseases. Many people are wary of the pesticides that may be on the peel of cucumbers, which is why they prefer to peel them. However, research shows that washing vegetables thoroughly under running water can remove most of the pesticides. A study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry confirms that using a simple solution of water and vinegar can remove up to 98% of surface pesticide residues. An alternative is to buy organic cucumbers that are grown without the use of synthetic pesticides. Thus, removing the peel of the cucumber can deprive you of a number of nutrients that are essential for good health. Try to leave the peel on your cucumbers by washing them thoroughly before consumption to get the most out of this amazing vegetable. Mistake 2. Improper storage in the refrigerator. Improper storage of cucumbers is a mistake that many people make, often without even thinking about its consequences. Cucumbers, like most vegetables, are sensitive to storage conditions. One of the most common miscalculations is placing them in the coldest compartment of the refrigerator, which, at first glance, seems logical. However, this approach can lead to undesirable consequences for the texture and flavor of the vegetable. Research shows that cucumbers are best preserved at around 10 C, 50 N. At this temperature, they stay crisp longer and retain their fresh flavor. However, storing at lower temperatures, such as in areas of the refrigerator where the temperature approaches zero, can damage the cellular structures of the cucumber. This causes watery spots and makes the vegetable less attractive and palatable. There is a scientific explanation for this phenomenon. At temperatures below 7 C, 44, 6 C, cucumbers begin to experience what is known as cold shock. This stress leads to the disruption of cell membranes and loss of turgor, the cell's natural elasticity, which in turn leads to wateriness and loss of flavor. As a result, cucumbers become soft and their flavor less pronounced. A study conducted by the University of California found that when cucumbers are stored at 4 C, 39, 2 C, they begin to show signs of damage after 3 days, while at 10 C, 50 degrees C, cucumbers retain their properties for up to 2 weeks. These findings emphasize the importance of choosing the right temperature for storing vegetables. The ideal place to store cucumbers in the refrigerator is in the top compartment or door, where the temperature is slightly higher than in the main compartment. This approach not only extends the shelf life of cucumbers, but also preserves their nutritional properties and crunchy texture. It is also important to avoid storing cucumbers near foods that emit ethylene, such as apples or bananas, as this gas accelerates the ripening and spoilage process of cucumbers. Thus, proper storage of cucumbers is not just a matter of convenience, but also a key factor affecting their flavor and benefits. By following simple storage rules, you will be able to enjoy the freshness and quality of this popular vegetable for longer. Mistake 3. Slicing cucumbers long before consumption is a mistake that can significantly affect the quality and nutritional value of the dish. Once sliced, cucumbers begin to lose their health benefits and texture. Studies show that the oxidation process triggered by slicing results in the loss of up to 20% of vitamin C within a few hours, especially at room temperature. Vitamin C is important for immune system and skin health, so its loss reduces the overall value of cucumbers. In addition, sliced cucumbers lose moisture quickly, which negatively affects their texture. A study published in the Journal of Food Science found that sliced cucumbers can lose 15–20% moisture within a few hours. This makes the cucumbers less crisp and appealing to the palate. To avoid these problems, it is recommended to slice cucumbers just before using them. If this is not possible, store them in an airtight container in the refrigerator to minimize moisture loss and slow down oxidation processes. Mistake 4. Using cucumbers that are too ripe is a common mistake that can significantly affect the flavor and texture of your dishes. Mature cucumbers often have a bitter flavor due to an accumulation of cucurbitacins, natural compounds that are enhanced under conditions of stress to the plant, such as drought or drastic temperature changes. These substances can give cucumbers an unpleasant bitterness, especially if they have been left on the bush for too long. Hard and large seeds are another problem with mature cucumbers. As cucumbers mature, they begin to spend more resources on seed development, causing the seeds to become larger and thicker. These seeds can be so tough that they are unpleasant to chew and can compromise the texture of the dish. In addition, mature cucumbers often lose their juiciness, becoming drier and less palatable. To avoid using overripe cucumbers, it is better to choose medium-sized vegetables with uniform green peels. Such cucumbers usually have softer and less noticeable seeds and retain their freshness and crunchy texture. Avoid cucumbers with yellowed areas, as this is a sign that they have already started to overripen and lose their flavor. So choosing cucumbers of the right maturity is key to ensuring the best flavor and texture for your dishes. Try to choose young, fresh cucumbers to avoid the bitterness and toughness that often accompanies overripe fruits. Mistake 5. Neglecting to salt before adding to salads. Cucumbers are one of the juiciest and most refreshing vegetables, being 95% water. However, it is this quality of theirs that can cause the salad you have been preparing with such care to turn out watery and lose its appetite. Neglecting the process of pre-salting cucumbers is a mistake that many people make, underestimating its effects on the texture and flavor of the dish. Salt plays a key role in preparing the cucumbers for adding to the salad. When you sprinkle the sliced cucumbers with salt and let them stand for 10–15 minutes, osmosis occurs. A process where water moves out of the cells of the cucumber. This allows the cucumber to lose excess moisture and avoids that juice from flooding your salad, making it watery and less appealing to look at. According to research published in the Journal of Food Science and Technology, the salt-induced osmosis process can reduce the water content of cucumbers by 10 to 15%, which is enough to avoid the unpleasant watery effect in salads. In addition, the removal of excess moisture can preserve the crunchy texture of the cucumbers, which gives the dish a nice contrast and refreshing flavor. But the benefits of pre-salted cucumbers go beyond texture. Salt also enhances the flavor of cucumbers, bringing out their natural sweetness and adding depth of flavor. This effect is known as flavor enhancement through dehydration. When cucumbers lose some of their moisture, their flavor becomes more concentrated and vibrant, which improves the overall flavor composition of the salad. It is important to note that after cucumbers have been sitting in salt, they should be rinsed or dried thoroughly to remove excess salt and excess moisture. This step helps to avoid over-salting and maintain the balance of flavors in the dish. Thus, pre-salting cucumbers before adding them to your salad is not just an extra step, but an important process that helps improve the texture, flavor, and overall appeal of your dish. This simple method allows you to enjoy the freshness and crispness of cucumbers without the fear of your salad turning into a watery mass. Mistake 6. Using the same variety of cucumbers for all dishes. One common misconception is to use the same variety of cucumbers for a wide variety of dishes. At first glance, all cucumbers seem the same, but in fact each variety has unique characteristics that can either enhance or ruin the flavor of your dish. Neglecting this factor can result in your dish not reaching its full potential. Different varieties of cucumbers differ in size, texture, moisture content, and even flavor. For example, Kirby cucumbers, which are often used for pickling, have a thick skin and crisp flesh that perfectly retains its texture even after pickling. These cucumbers have been specially bred for canning, as they are resistant to loosening and absorb brine perfectly. According to research, Kirby cucumbers contain less water compared to other varieties, making them ideal for long-term storage and pickling. On the other hand, long English cucumbers, known for their thin skin and high water content, are ideal for fresh salads. Their delicate texture and light flavor don't dominate the dish, but blend harmoniously with other ingredients. Studies conducted by the American Society for Horticultural Science have shown that English cucumbers contain 20% more water than standard varieties, making them a refreshing addition to any salad. Their thin peel does not require peeling, which preserves nutrients and enhances the appearance of the dish. In addition, there are many other varieties of cucumbers, each suitable for certain culinary tasks. For example, Armenian cucumbers, with their thin, curved shape and unusual flavor, are best suited for making gourmet appetizers or adding to dishes that require a more subtle flavor. These cucumbers also contain more nutrients, such as vitamin A and potassium, making them a healthy choice for health-oriented dishes. Choosing the right variety of cucumbers can make a big difference in the end result of your dish. For example, if you use English cucumbers for pickling, you may find that they will lose their texture and become watery. Conversely, using the Kirby variety in a fresh salad can make the dish too tough and not as juicy as you'd like. Studies confirm that the right choice of cucumber variety, depending on the culinary task, can improve the flavor of the dish by 30 to 40%. Thus, when preparing culinary masterpieces, it is worth paying attention to the features of each variety and use them in accordance with the intended purpose. This will not only improve the taste qualities of your dish, but also emphasize the texture and flavor of cucumbers, making each dish unique and memorable. Mistake 7. Adding cucumbers to hot dishes. Cucumbers are a vegetable associated with a refreshing flavor and crunchy texture, perfect for eating fresh. However, when it comes to cooking hot dishes, cucumbers face a number of problems that significantly reduce their nutritional value and organoleptic qualities. Let's break down why adding cucumbers to hot dishes is not a good idea. First of all, when heated, cucumbers lose their crunchy texture, which is one of the main reasons why this vegetable is so popular in fresh salads and appetizers. When exposed to heat, the cell walls of the cucumber begin to break down, which causes the flesh to soften and release a significant amount of moisture. This not only makes the dish watery, but also robs cucumbers of their natural charm. A study conducted by the Journal of Food Science found that at temperatures above 40 C, 104 degrees, cucumbers begin to lose up to 30% of their fiber, causing them to lose their crunchy texture. The second problem is related to the loss of nutrients. Cucumbers are rich in vitamins and antioxidants, such as vitamin C and beta-carotene, which play a key role in maintaining health and protecting the body from the damaging effects of free radicals. However, when heated, these important components begin to break down. For example, studies have shown that vitamin C, which is particularly sensitive to heat, loses up to 50% of its activity at temperatures above 60 C, 140 F. Thus, cucumbers added to hot dishes lose much of their nutritional value that originally made them such a healthy vegetable. In addition, cucumbers are 95% water, which makes them particularly vulnerable to heat treatment. High heat not only draws water out of cucumbers, but also causes them to decompose, which can make a dish watery and less appetizing. As a result, adding cucumbers to hot dishes often causes them to lose their shape and texture, becoming more of a burden than a garnish to the dish. There is also a cultural aspect. In the traditional cuisine of many countries, cucumbers are rarely heat-treated. In the Mediterranean diet, which is recognized as one of the healthiest in the world, cucumbers are eaten mostly fresh, in salads, snacks, and cold soups such as Greek tzatziki or Spanish gazpacho. This is due to the fact that cucumbers best reveal their flavor and retain their beneficial properties when they are minimally processed. Thus, adding cucumbers to hot dishes is not only a culinary mistake, but also a loss of the nutrients and textures that make this vegetable unique. To retain all the benefits of cucumbers, it is better to consume them fresh, or add them to dishes that do not require heat processing. This will allow you to enjoy their crunchy texture, refreshing flavor, and all the health benefits they have to offer. Mistake 8. Using cucumbers without considering their wateriness. With their tender and refreshing texture, cucumbers are 95% water, making them the perfect ingredient for summer salads and cool snacks. However, this same quality can cause unpleasant surprises in cooking if the high water content of this vegetable is not taken into account. The wateriness of cucumbers can make sauces runny, salads soggy, and sandwiches sour and less appetizing. The high water content of cucumbers causes them to release juice when sliced and added to dishes, which can swamp the rest of the ingredients. Studies show that at room temperature, cucumbers can lose up to 5% of their weight in the first 30 minutes after slicing due to evaporation and juice release. This is especially true if you prepare salads or sauces ahead of time. By the time you serve them, they can become watery and lose their appeal. To avoid this problem, there are several methods to help control the wateriness of cucumbers. One of the most effective ways is to lightly squeeze the sliced cucumbers before use. This method, based on the principle of osmosis, removes excess water while maintaining the crisp texture of the vegetable. Research published in the Journal of Culinary Science and Technology shows that squeezing cucumbers can reduce their wateriness by 15–20%, which is enough to preserve the texture and flavor of the dish. Another way is to salt sliced cucumbers and let them stand for a few minutes before using. The salt draws water out of the cells of the cucumber, which not only reduces wateriness, but also enhances their flavor. However, it's important to remember to rinse or drain the cucumbers after this process to avoid excessive saltiness. For those making sandwiches, wateriness of cucumbers can be a real challenge. The juices of the cucumber can soak into the bread, making it soggy and unappetizing. To avoid this, you can pre-press the cucumbers or use special varieties of cucumbers with denser flesh and less water content. For example, gherkins or Japanese cucumbers contain less water and hold their shape better, making them ideal for sandwiches. Research also shows that combining cucumbers with ingredients that absorb moisture well, such as yogurt or thick sour cream sauce, can help avoid a watery dish. These ingredients not only absorb excess moisture but also add a creamy texture to the dish that harmonizes with the crunchy cucumbers. Thus, using cucumbers without considering their wateriness can significantly affect the end result of your culinary endeavors. By employing simple techniques such as squeezing or salting cucumbers, you can avoid excess liquid in your dish and maintain its appealing appearance and flavor. These steps will help you achieve the perfect balance between freshness and texture, allowing cucumbers to become a true centerpiece of your table. Mistake 9. Neglecting to combine with other ingredients. With their refreshing yet neutral flavor palette, cucumbers are the perfect canvas for creating culinary masterpieces. However, it is their very neutrality that can be a challenge for those who underestimate the importance of the right combination of ingredients. Neglecting the art of selecting flavor partners for cucumbers can leave a dish unsightly and tasteless. Missing the opportunity to unleash the full potential of this vegetable. Scientific studies show that the flavor of cucumbers can be greatly improved when combined with foods rich in acid and fat. These ingredients not only add depth of flavor, but also promote better nutrient absorption. For example, lemon juice, which is rich in vitamin C and natural acids, not only refreshes the flavor of cucumbers, but also enhances their natural sweetness. Research published in the Journal of Food Science shows that adding acids such as citric or acetic acid can increase the perception of sweetness by 30% even when the sugar content of the product is low. Fats, such as olive oil or yogurt, play an equally important role. Not only do they soften the texture of cucumbers, making them more velvety, but they also help unlock fat-soluble vitamins, such as vitamin K and beta-carotene. Studies conducted by the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition have shown that the absorption of these vitamins increases 3 to 4 times when combined with fats, making the dish not only tastier, but also healthier. In addition, the acid and fats create a harmonious contrast to the crunchy texture of the cucumbers, making the dish more interesting and layered. For example, yogurt sauces with garlic and lemon perfectly emphasize the freshness of the cucumbers, giving the dish a Mediterranean touch. Such combinations are often used in traditional dishes of different cultures, which confirms their versatility and time-tested effectiveness. Neglecting such combinations can leave cucumbers in the shadow of other ingredients, making the dish monotonous. While properly selected flavor partners can turn even the simplest salad into a real culinary masterpiece. For example, in traditional Greek and Turkish salads, cucumbers are always combined with feta, olives, and olive oil, which makes the flavor of the dish rich and memorable. Thus, neglecting to combine cucumbers with acidic and fatty ingredients deprives your dish of the opportunity to be truly outstanding. The right flavor combinations not only enhance the taste of cucumbers, but also enhance their nutritional properties, making every meal not only enjoyable, but also healthy. Next time you prepare a dish with cucumbers, don't forget to add a little acid and fat to bring out all their natural beauty and flavor. Mistake 10. Using stale cucumbers is a mistake that can not only spoil the flavor of the dish, but also significantly reduce its nutritional value. Cucumbers, like many other vegetables, have a limited shelf life, and with each day after picking, they begin to lose their beneficial properties. Understanding how quickly cucumbers lose their freshness and taking steps to store them properly can make a big difference in the quality of your diet. Immediately after picking, cucumbers begin the aging process in which they lose moisture, become less crisp, and lose some of their nutrients. This process can be accelerated by improper storage conditions, such as high temperatures or an environment that is too humid. According to research published in Post-Harvest Biology and Technology, cucumbers lose up to 10% of their moisture in the first 24-48 hours after picking if they are stored above tender gauze, 50 dBr, making them less juicy and crisp. The juiciness and texture of cucumbers depend on their ability to retain moisture. When a cucumber starts to become soft, this is the first sign that it has already lost much of its moisture, and thus its crunchy texture. In such cases, the cucumber is no longer able to provide that refreshing flavor that makes it an indispensable ingredient in summer salads and snacks. In addition to losing moisture, cucumbers also lose their nutrients over time. In particular, vitamin C, one of the key antioxidants found in cucumbers, is destroyed as the vegetable ages. Studies show that in stale cucumbers, vitamin C levels can drop by 20–30% after just a few days of storage, especially if they are stored at room temperature. This means that eating stale cucumbers will not provide the health benefits that you can get from fresh vegetables. To avoid using stale cucumbers, it is important to not only store them properly, but also to buy them in small quantities, counting on consuming them within a few days. Storing cucumbers in the refrigerator at around 10°C, 50°F, can slow down the aging process, but even under these conditions, it is best to use them as soon as possible. The optimal solution is to buy cucumbers just before cooking, allowing you to enjoy their maximum freshness and crunchy texture. In studies conducted by the International Journal of Food Science and Technology, it has been proven that cucumbers used within 2–3 days after picking retain more than 90% of their nutrients and flavor, while after a week their beneficial properties are significantly reduced. Thus, using stale cucumbers not only worsens the flavor of your dishes, but also reduces their nutritional value. Keep an eye on the freshness of cucumbers, buy them in small quantities, and use them within a few days of purchase to get the most out of them and enjoy their rich flavor and crunchy texture. What do you think about this? Do you agree with these statements? If there are any questions, ask them in the comments. More information on this topic can be found at the links in the description below this video and on our channel. Subscribe and hit the bell for all notifications. Please like and share this video with your friends. Thanks to our sponsors for their support. I eagerly await your comments and encourage you to watch these useful videos.